Welcome, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This is another day. This is the day the Lord has made, and we're delighted that you have joined us today. And we are going to choose to rejoice in this day. I used to have a Jamaican older lady in our church who used to say, any day above the ground is a good one. And she always reminded me that life is so daily, and it really is. And so we are delighted that we have this day, an opportunity to interact with other people, to be of service to others, and also allow other people to serve us as well. It is indeed a give and take relationship. And it's a beautiful, beautiful weekend as well. And of course, many of us, if not all of you, know that here in North America, of course, we know in England and other parts of the world, they have a different schedule. But tomorrow is Mother's Day. And we certainly appreciate all the mothers. And we also understand that there are some people who are not necessarily mothers biologically, but they do occupy a mother role, a mother position in many, many people's lives. And we're very, very grateful for that. And obviously, it is a day that we pause to say thank you and to express our appreciation to mothers for all that they have done. But we also understand life being so daily. There are some people who no longer have their mothers, or for some reason, some people may not even know where their mothers are. And that's just the realities of life. So in whatever situation, in whatever circumstance you find yourself in, we have every reason to be thankful and to maintain a thankful or a grateful disposition. Someone said, anytime you do not believe that God is good, you should know definitely that there's something wrong with you. And I like that thought because indeed life gives us, or life throws all kinds of things to us, and it may not be on the schedule, but it happens. And so we pick it as it comes. As someone said, throws lemons at us and we make lemonade out of it and enjoy the lemonade. This is your host, Dr. FM, on Today's Africa on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio, and we are delighted that you have joined us. We go live every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'd like to encourage you to subscribe, to like, to share this channel with other people in your networks as well. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and also StreamYard. And so feel free to join us and feel free to let other people know as well. My voice is kind of hoarse today. But we're glad that you are here. One of the things, like I mentioned, Mother's Day. And I am wondering, because sometimes we do have some guests in the background who are mothers or fathers or young people. And I'm just wondering if we have anybody in the background who would like to take a moment to just express your appreciation or your thoughts on the values of Mother's Day. I'm just wondering if we have anybody like that. Mr. Engineer in the background there, anybody would like to say a few words about Mother's Day?
I'll go ahead and say, thank you, Dr. FM. Thank you for the well wishes. And I would like to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Tomorrow is a very special day for us. It's a day that we celebrate strength, we celebrate love, We celebrate all the sacrifices that we do for our children. And we are thankful. We're thankful for our mothers. We're thankful for our sisters. We're thankful for all the mothers and even the people that are not biological mothers. We're just thankful for the roles that they play in our children's lives. So let's continue going. Sometimes you feel like you have a lot on your plate, but we keep going. We never give up. And also, in line with today's topic, let's teach our children finances. Let's give our children that financial literacy. Give them that. That's one of the gifts that we give them among all the other gifts. So I want to say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and thank you for bringing me on.
Oh, thank you very much. That is a powerful and very, very appropriate and relevant message, really, on a day like today, just before Mother's Day, to actually have someone who is female, who knows what it means to be female and to be a mother, to show that appreciation to all the other mothers as well. And so, on behalf of, as they say in Kiswahili, ulimwengu, the whole world, we celebrate mothers, and we want to say thank you very much. Those are very, very wise words there about remembering love, about remembering strength, and also to teach our children about financial literacy. These are important topics, and of course, today we are just waiting on our special guest who should be here momentarily, so that we can get into our topic. So, if you need to do something for your mother or someone who is a mother figure in your life, please don't wait any longer. In other parts of the world, it's still daylight. So go pick up something, go think about something that you would like to do to express your appreciation to them. And obviously, any expression of love and appreciation is always, and I mean always, appreciated. So please do take a moment to do that. So again, thank you, Madam, for your wise and relevant comments there. Today, we're going to be talking about creating wealth opportunities. One of the things that I am aware of as an African is growing up, there was very little, if any, education or intentional education on the use of money or how to create wealth. And I'm not too sure that it wasn't, I don't believe that it was because there was nothing to talk about. It's probably just, it could be ignorance. It could be there wasn't any understanding of what is wealth and how do we share that with our children so that they grow up in this world with an understanding of how to generate income. But I know that different families have different ways of doing things. There are some families where financial literacy is something that is started at a much early age. And in my family, it just wasn't there. But like I said, it is encouraging to know that there are some families now who are taking, an interest in making sure that our children understand this. I have heard, children as young as 10 or even 9 buying and selling because their parents were helping them to understand that. And that is remarkable. I know of some young people who are still teens who are already into businesses. So whatever your situation is, it's never too late to start doing the right things. And I think this is why I'm really, really excited today about our topic. And we're just waiting on our guest who should be joining us momentarily. One of the things I think is really affecting a lot of our leadership expressions on the continent of Africa is that because we grow up without an understanding of wealth, an understanding of managing wealth. So when you get into leadership positions or positions of leadership, if you have never been educated in financial understandings, it's very, very difficult for you all of a sudden to rise up and be responsible as far as finances is concerned. So I think we need to start early to make sure that our children have a good understanding of finances. And I'm also happy that in some of our schools, especially in North America, financial literacy is one of those that is actually part of the curriculum. And I'm hoping that we have more and more of our schools in Africa that would take that as an important subject. Actually, I should also say there are some private schools in particular. I'm not too sure about government schools. Maybe there are some out there, and I cannot really speak to that. But I also know that there are some private schools that have intentionally included financial literacy as part of their curriculum to make sure that children come up or grow up with a well-rounded understanding of finances and wealth and all that. And I think that's all part of building and establishing a healthy nation. And we definitely need that. And it'll be interesting to find out how many of our families, if we were to ask our viewers and our listeners today to indicate how much of financial literacy actually goes on in their families on a regular basis. Because we have to change our story, or we have to rewrite our story. Other people have been writing stories for us, and we're saying, no, it's time that we need to write our own stories, because if we don't write our story, somebody else will write our story and it becomes his story. So we don't want history. We want live understanding of finances and how we and of course how we interact with the world around us from a financial perspective. So I'm really excited and looking forward to our topic today. And like I said, our guest should be showing up momentarily. So job creation and wealth creation do not come naturally to many of us. However, when I think of things happening in life, whether it's good things or bad things, three things actually come to mind. Number one, for anything good or anything bad to happen, someone has to have the skill to do it. Whatever you want to do, you have to have a skill to do it. But not only that, you have to have a desire for whatever that is. And third, you have to have an opportunity. In other words, an opportunity has to be created, or an opportunity comes to you, and then you capitalize on that. So I think when we think of wealth creation opportunities, this is really a loaded topic that I'm hoping and excited about unpacking it with our listeners, as well as our viewers. I just noticed that our guest has arrived. Dr. Ken Agoh, thank you for gracing us. We're glad you have joined us. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, we're glad you're here. So I was just explaining to our listeners and viewers that we are dealing with a topic that is relevant, a topic that you are also a practitioner in, and this is one reason we decided to bring you in. It looks like there is an echo in the background. I'm not too sure where that is coming from. Is there something happening there in terms of feedback, Mr. Engineer? Anyway, it kind of stopped. And anyway, so we're really delighted you are here. So who is Dr. Ken Agoh? Who is he? Just take a few minutes to just tell us who you are, just a little bit about your own journey, and then we'll dive into the dialogue for today.
Right. Thank you so much. I do apologize that I came in a little bit late. I got,
Understandable. We were just talking about life is so daily.
Yeah. So yeah, my name is Dr. Ken Agoh. Originally, I'm from Nigeria. Moved into UK some couple of years ago, and I'm a medical practitioner, a gynecologist, a specialist, a business owner, a CEO of 5 different companies currently. I don't know if God is going to add more, but for the moment, this is where we are. And I'm a Christian, brought up in a Christian background, and I believe in God. And that's it, literally, about me.
You know what? Just for you to highlight this in terms of who you are and what you're doing, you mentioned that you are an owner of 5 different companies. Would you tell us how did you come to this? I mean, you are a medical practitioner. You are a gynecologist.
Yeah.
So most doctors we know, they just stick to their medical work, and they do that and they stick to it until they retire. But
Yeah.
here you're saying that you're running or you own 5 different companies. Now, at what point did you start thinking along these lines and getting into this? Obviously, you started with 1 and then 2 and now 3 and now 5, and you're saying you don't even know how many more you might end up with. So how did that work for you? How did you arrive at this?
Right. So I don't have any clue about business, to be honest. My life started and it literally continued as a medic. Never intended going into business in my widest imagination. I never intended doing business because I don't have a clue what business looks like. But been in practice for a couple of years, and before I moved into the UK. And I was thinking when I get into UK, probably, from the airport, they give me my stethoscope. I walk straight into the hospital and continue my practice. But, UK gave me a different turn to let me know that, look, you're an African. You just need to, undermining that you studied with English, you still need to start, tell us if you know how to speak English or not. And that's doing your IELTS and your PLAB 1 and 2, the professional exams, before they can even give you an opportunity to be a bench doctor. I call them a bench doctor because on the football field there are the 11th who play and there are the people in the bench. So if you qualify in Africa or any European country, not here in England, you will definitely be on the bench until you finish all the necessary process. So my background is medicine. So coming into the country, and there was no opportunity for me to practice because I have to do an IELTS, do PLAB 1 and PLAB 2. Then after that, you become a locum doctor, and you have to do your FY1 if you want to be a proper doctor in England. You do your FY2, CT1. This is going to take you nothing less than 6-7 years before you can even be recognized like a proper doctor, unless you want to just, be on the bench aspect of it. There is still money in there. Believe you me, I'm not quoting them. Whoever is on locum at the moment, they still make a lot of money. And for me, I had a different mindset, started gradually, and I decided to start from the scratch, to be honest. And when it was not an opportunity for me to go into medicine, I started as a healthcare assistant, the basic. So didn't have a clue what it was. I think I came in as a student that year. I studied what's it called, MSc in public health in Sheffield, one of the cities in England. So I finished my masters, did all my professional exams and the rest of them, and still I'm not able to get into practice, and I was just losing form. But I started this grassroots because I needed to pay bills and the rest of them. So I went into healthcare assistant job, support worker, and graduated into the senior. I like progression. I don't like to stay in one place for a very long time. I like challenges. I like to push. So while I was working as a healthcare assistant through an agency, I noticed a Zimbabwean-owned agency. His name is, I think, Keith and Simba, husband and wife. So I was thinking, I would look to them as like, these guys, they're comfortable. I think one of these days I would like to own my own agency, a recruitment agency where I can send other staff. I just had it as a vision, and like, okay, one day this is going to come into limelight. So, and that's why, forgot about it, finished with them in Sheffield, moved into a different city, and still, doing my menial jobs, keeping one or two things together. And in 2018, I decided to step out, uh, start my own. So went around to ask, and nobody was giving information, believe you me. And but I decided to fail and succeed. So in my failure, I learned and I became stronger in it. So I started the recruitment agency, which I desired years ago when I came into the country, when I saw the Zimbabwean couples who were doing extremely good in the field. So I went into, I actually called the Simba. I told her, is there anything you need to tell me? She gave me the bits she could. I owe her to that. And I started with no knowledge about business or anything. And we grew and grew and grew. And surprisingly, within the space of 2 years, my starting was basically okay. I limited God. I said, oh, maybe 500,000 turnover. I'll be okay with that. And the first year, second year, when the account came in, it was over £1 million turnover. And I'm thinking, okay, because I wasn't expecting that, the bank was not expecting that as well. They froze our accounts. They were like, you said 500. Now you're making over £1 million. So we need to have a chat. So I was invited and, spoke to the bank. I said, look, you see how the transaction going in. There is no illegal business going in here. The staff work, we pay them, and the clients pay us. And that's exactly how it's also transparent. And all our bills are controlled by the bank. So there is no hanky-panky business we're doing behind the scene. So which they did understand, and they moved us over to 5 million. So they gave us an elaborate, turnover for a future expansion. And they say do not put your egg in one basket. I knew that in this life nothing lasts forever. So I decided, okay, let's just diversify into a different set of care company, but revolving the same within this care sector. We started the community care. So the recruitment agency one is called PH Staffing, so professional healthcare staffing. And the community, when we went in the community, so we decided to give it a different name, which is DGC Medicals. So, and when that one started growing with different clients and the rest of them, and I think the staffing level were over 2,000 staff in the UK we were controlling at the time. And that's the same small, tiny business I wanted to do, small, tiny thing, and it became massively uncontrollable. So I have to involve a lot of people to get them in here to help out, employed a lot of people, and, to get us, where we are. And for God to have his will, the two companies was growing simultaneously, uncontrollably. I decided, let's go into something else. So we went into property. That's when the third company came in, DGC Properties. So, and we started growing that one as well in his own proportion. And something came into my mind within the space of a year. Why don't we channel these, opportunities to our brothers in Africa that cannot have this access? So I decided, okay, let's set up the same company in Africa. So that's why we have the same company, the real estate company in Africa, and a recruitment agency in Africa. And we're not finished yet, but when the idea comes, we just still keep going as the leading of the Spirit of God. So everything that is channeled within this process and this journey, it is not my own leading. I hear and I move with faith, 100% faith, without any fear.
Wow. You know what? Just listening to you is very, very inspiring. This is inspirational. I mean, I talked earlier about three things that you need in order to do anything or to get anywhere. You need a desire, you need skills, and you need an opportunity. And from what I'm figuring out, you had very little skill in some of these, but the little skill you had, you believed that there was a better day ahead.
Absolutely.
And then you're bringing in this powerful element of being God conscious and trusting in God and realizing, you know what, I am a Christian. Now, this doesn't mean that every Christian is going to be a business person, is going to be a successful business person.
No.
But your faith in God is instrumental in this whole process.
Absolutely.
And bringing you to this place of just realizing it's not just about me, but you're creating opportunities for other people. I mean, you're talking about that many people, 2,000. I mean, that's a lot of people that you are ministering to. Yeah.
This statistics is years ago. We don't know what we have at the moment.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah, this is about the statistic we took about 2 years ago. And the COVID was our major breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
During the COVID, that was our major breakthrough. And I've forgotten to mention the third care company. So we are now going about buying care homes for elderly and supported living for young adults as well. And that's the current one we are at the moment. So that's the third care company. It's called PHS Care Services. So it's the one that we'll have about 2 now at the moment. So we're looking for more expansion. And the vision is to have over 200 or between 50 to 100 care facilities all over the UK.
Wow. That is a clear vision, man. That is a clear vision. Now, you are the kind of young man who makes me angry in a good way. Let me tell you why I'm saying this. When I think of young people who are struggling to make ends meet in different parts of Africa and Europe and North America, because we are constantly looking for work, and you are saying, it can't just be about looking for work. You can actually create work. You can create opportunities based on a desire, a passion. You have skills and creating opportunities. And so, I'm listening to this, and I'm really excited that we are having this conversation. And Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio reaches out to over 100 different countries, and our listenership and viewership is growing. So I can assure you, Dr. Ken, that there are some people who are gluing their ears to this screen right now, wanting to hear more in terms of where do I go from here? And I think it's true. You don't know everybody's situation, and we will never will. You know, we will never know everybody's situation. But what are things that come to mind in terms of not doing the same thing you have done, but something similar, understanding my own context and saying, I need to do something. And I'm going to give you a minute to think about that so that you can speak to people who are working and have been working for years. And you're saying, you can't just rely on that income. You can't just rely on one source of income. You need to diversify. You need to come up with different ways of generating income. So I'm going to bring you in momentarily. Again, to our viewers, our listeners, this is Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. This is your host, Dr. FM, Francis Munangi Mpindu, and we're delighted that you've joined us today. Today, we're talking about wealth creation opportunities, and we have Dr. Ken Agoh, who is a gynecologist trained and practiced in Africa before moving to England. He gets to England and he realizes they're creating all these hoops for him to go through, and you're like, no, I'm not going to take this. And you end up running and owning 5 different companies at the moment, and they're continuing to grow, and you have created opportunities to so many people, not just from Africa. I would imagine that you guys are not racist, right? You know, you open up to anybody, including the British themselves. So he says absolutely. So I'm glad to hear that. I was just teasing. I know you're not. Actually, you know, many of us, we never knew racism until we started interacting with other people who don't look like us, which is very, very unfortunate, really. But Dr. Ken Agoh, what are some of these ideas that you would like to share with us today in terms of just inspiring us to move from where we are? Some of us are very comfortable. We've been working for years and having this one paycheck. And now this paycheck, if it doesn't come, I'm in trouble. And you're saying, there are different ways of doing things. So share with us, how do we get from here to there?
Right. Oh, thank you so much. I would say in the years that I've been in business, I would categorically point out the fact that I have done a lot of empowerment, training people and how to break out of the system. Now, to every places, any place you are, whether in Africa, in Europe, in America, in anywhere you are, there are opportunities for you to grow. You understand? Breaking out of the system. If you want to be in the system, like you mentioned, it has to be the chain of the paycheck thing. So you get the paycheck, you pay bills, and you go back to your paycheck, and it's just circulated, and your time and your life is being wasted. Now, there are 2 sets of people who come into Europe or any part of the world. If you're living your comfort zone, the first set of people wants to earn the money, get very comfortable, and don't think about how to grow opportunities for themselves. Not that they don't have the capacity, they just don't want to move. I did a seminar some years ago, and the seminar was for men. It's about 100 men. I was talking to them about business opportunities and empowerment and the rest of them. And I told them, I said, look, I'm here to speak to everybody, but it's not everybody that was going to key into it. Some people will have, after talking to them, they get motivated. 2-3 days down the line, the motivation is gone. And believe you me, happened for the hundreds of people I spoke to regarding business and empowerment. It was only 5 people that are CEOs at the moment. and they are doing extremely well in the area of their expertise. And most of them, I did not talk to them about. I generalized, the whole thing about business ethics. I didn't say go into healthcare or recruitment or property. I just generalized in the whole thing aspect of business. So I would advise, in terms of anybody who has the potential or no, just have the zeal on, I want to get out of this, break out of the system and do things for yourself. Believe you me, as a medic, I don't think, not making a big massive story, but I don't think NHS can pay me at the moment, as it stands, because only my bills alone, where I am at the moment, is over 20,000 a month. 20,000 pounds. That's the bills I pay. So I don't think as a doctor I'm going to earn that amount of money in a month. So that's the difference within you working for a paycheck and you breaking out of the system and doing things, for yourself. So, in terms of the advice I can give for anybody who wants to do it, get an initiative. When I spoke to somebody in Sheffield, I said, "What do you want to do?" He said, "Oh, I'm into art and craft and this." I said, "Okay, set up a company and get people the awareness and everything." And I said, "I can arrange a structure and a structure for you in terms of the how to run the whole business sector. At the moment, do it as a sole trader, then navigate it into a limited company, and probably if it grows massively, you turn it into a group." And he started, and now he's not doing a sole trader. He's a limited company with over 10, 20 employees. So now he's grown. It's not healthcare, it's art and craft. So he organized a lot of African, it was his own initiative, African festival, not African, cultural festivals for different culture, Indians, Africans, Caribbeans. You just bring them all together with your rich in heritage culture in a particular place. People display every talent that they've got. So he created that company. It's called Soundtrack or Soundcheck or something like that. But he's actually doing very well in Sheffield. And now he's going over Sheffield town and is growing into the whole England. When I started the company, the recruitment company, I thought it was going to be within Leeds, where I am residing. But when the company grew, we crossed over England, we went into Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales. So opportunity came for us in Wales when students came from Africa. They didn't have a job in Wales. They were the whole scenario was so cumbersome. Some of them were planning to go back to Africa, like, oh no, I can't cope with this pressure. I was doing well in Africa and so and this and when I heard the story, I said, no, you don't need to go. Let's get you an opportunity to get something doing. So I spoke to the mayor in that confinement, and we were able to raise opportunity for them to work in healthcare sector in that aspect. So those people established themselves. Now, one of the seminars that I did some couple of months ago, I spoke to some nurses who are working currently in NHS, and 15, 20 years working as a nurse in NHS, and you're still borrowing. That means you're not doing a job, you're not there. So what I did was brought them in, showed them the way, gave them the knowledge, the business ethics, and they broke out of the system. I didn't say quit NHS. What I'm saying is reduce your pressure in that area, expand your pressure in building yourself and your company, and make sure you break out of the system. And that's how most of them broke out of the system, and they're doing extremely well, doing only 2 days with the NHS, and the rest of them to focus on their business and how to grow it. And that's actually what works them. Risk is there, financial risk is there. The fear of, am I going to succeed? That one is 100% there. But if you're looking at limitations, then there's no way you're going to grow in any of the business. So you have to take the risk. You have to ignore the limitation. Just focus on the positive aspect of it and don't give up. I think my first company, for 1 year, there was no trade. All the people I wanted to get alongside with were 5 of us. When I got the vision, they all pulled out in less than a month, and they left just me in the business. And I kept pushing. For 1 solid year, it was quiet, but I never gave up. When it started, I was scared in which the speed it started and how it started growing. You know, when your threshold grow to an extent, you need solid solicitor and accountant to manage your money. If not, you're going to go into problem. So there are some certain things I cannot say in the air that I will need in person to discuss it with off the camera, because there are some certain secrets, especially in England. England is extremely juicy. If you know your way around it, the money here is massive. It's crazy. There is no way they make everybody a CEO in this company, in this country, you will not be able to exhaust the resources in this place. It's massive. What I'm saying as success is a crumb that I'm getting from the people I'm looking at too. Because when I saw them in their chains, and I know that I'm a baby in this field, so I'm not comfortable where I am. Where I'm going is where I'm looking at. So when I get there, maybe there is some other person that I'm looking up to when I get what, limiting yourself is the biggest thing that you can do as an individual. If you have zero business knowledge, 100% business knowledge, I'm not a business, I didn't do any school of business or anything, but when I started, every failure I did, anybody who's coming after me, the person is using it as a ladder. They are not going to fail where I failed. I've already paid the price. So the person learns from my failure and cross that hurdle faster than I could. So that's why I said, when I get you involved, you need to do better than me. If not, that means you are in the wrong place. So that's what I always advise people, to get involved in breaking out of the system, not in the system, unless you don't want to live a comfortable life.
Wow, those are loaded words. Those are powerful words, very insightful. This notion of breaking out of the system is something that not many of us really think about.
No,
Because once you are in the system, you become comfortable.
absolutely.
And this idea of taking risks and the fear of just stepping out into something that you've never done before, it's so real. And you're saying, if you don't do that, you're saying, don't ignore the challenges. The challenges are there, but don't focus on the limitations, because
Absolutely.
there are options, there are ways of looking at this. And if anything, among other things that I'm hearing and observing from you, is you have the humility to see yourself as a learner. You're saying, listen, I'm the baby in this kind of business, but I have learned some things that if you would pay attention to me, you're not going to make the same mistakes that I did. I've already done that for you. It's like what the Lord Jesus says, I died so that you would live. Listen, there's no need for you to die because I died already.
That's true.
So you need to live the resurrected life.
Mm.
And so, I'm just listening to you, and I'm like, wow, we need people like you to share these nuggets in different contexts until we get it. For some of us, you might have to repeat it several times before we have our aha moments. But it will come. And so, just as a word of encouragement, don't give up on us. We might take a little longer to get there, but we will get there. So again, To our listeners, this is Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. This is your host, Dr. FM, on today's Africa. And we're delighted to have Dr. Ken Agoh, who is a medical doctor, trained and practiced in Africa before coming to England, realized that there are so many hoops that he was being drawn and thrown into, and he realized that it was going to take him a long time before he would end up where he really wanted to be. But you did not see that as something that was blocking your vision. But from that, you saw opportunities to do something different. And here you are today, owning and running 5 different countries, not just in England, but also in Africa. And I think that to us, to me, and to our viewers as well, to hear about your passion to say, I am from Africa. I want my brothers and sisters to learn from me and to benefit from my intellectual wealth and the financial wealth that I now have. I want to be able to share, and now creating opportunities for them. That is also something very, very commendable, and we are really, really grateful for that. Now, I know that you talked about the kind of expenses people have, but you realize that if you depend on what I know and what I have, it's not going to take me anywhere other than getting trapped.
Yeah.
You challenged some people and you said, listen, after 15, 20 years of doing work and you're still borrowing, you're still relying on other people, it shouldn't be so.
Mm-mm.
How do we change that mindset, Dr. Ken? How do we deal with that? Because I know my dad, who I got to know when I was 20 years old. When I met him, he was working for a bakery. And my mom told me from the time that they met up in Harare, he was working for a bakery. So now I'm thinking, okay, 20 years later, he was still a bakery. And I don't know, because I haven't seen any other, ways of generating income. So how do we get out of this stuckness? Like, we fall into this rut, we become comfortable. By the way, I'm not blaming my dad for doing that, but that was his world. That's how he understood. You have to be loyal. You get employed, you become loyal, you stay there until you retire, until you die. Dr. Ken is saying, don't think along those lines. So how do we get out of that mindset?
Right. Apart from the fact that the staff that I have, that most of them help me run the company, I'm a trainer as well in healthcare, as accredited trainer. So if you go on our website on PH Staffing, you'll see PHS Academy, and that's the training aspect. We've got a license to train people for healthcare. Majority, 90% of the people we train are mostly Africans. Most people who came into the country on a COS, like a sponsor license, and when they come here, they get stranded. And I deliberately didn't want to apply for a sponsor license because of the abuse that has been happening. So I don't want to get entangled with the whole mess up. But later on, I did apply for it to get it. But before we got the license, what I was doing is to salvage the situation from people who they brought in hundreds, getting them stranded here. So what I did was to get them employed, get them settled. And during the course of my training, when I'm talking to them, I said, look, we all started somewhere. You already have opportunity to come into this country. Don't give up. If you want to, the first thing you need to do is to settle yourself in, get to know how the system operates here. But in the next 5 years, I still come back here and you're coming back here as a care assistant. I won't talk to you anymore. That means there is no growth in your head. So all I need you to understand that this is a starting, is a base. That doesn't mean that's where you're going to remain. So what you need to have, the mentality you need to have is, I'm using it as a learning curve to navigate my way where I'm going. Have a goal. Well, this is my destination. I always tell people the sky is not my limit. The sky is my starting point. So if the sky is my starting point, that means I'm limitless. I don't have a limit. So sometimes I get told off that I need to sleep because my sleeping hours are only 4 hours. At least if I sleep more than 4 hours a day, I feel guilty. Like, come on, man, you're sleeping and people are making money. Uh, so that's the major thing I said. Use this entrance as a basis. Now, you asked the question about how do we do this? How do we break out of this? The reason why I started with that fact is because I'm laying that foundation, the beginning foundation to people who are coming in. And I said, if you've crossed paths with me in a way and your life is not changed, that means there is some village people after you. So, but regardless of it, everybody has got one or two things that can bring you, that can set you back. But you are the only one that can change your destiny and change your life. Now, the first fear, the first thing that comes into anybody who wants to step out of their comfort zone is fear. So the fear of losing the job, like those nurses that I spoke to, uh, they are scared. Oh, imagine I am doing 6 7 days night shift just to keep the bills and live, save a little bit money, go for holiday, just to live a little bit. I'm working 6 days a week, just one day off, and you are asking me to reduce my this thing to just one day. That means I'm going to be in a mess. So that fear of detaching yourself from that comfort zone is the first thing that will limit you from going further in life. So that fear and the bold step. So if that those people I spoke to, if they didn't take that bold step and they did not overcome that fear, they will not skyrocket into the next phase of their life. And I say, when you leave that comfort zone, believe you me, opportunities will open for you. When I started, I started from my small tiny room. I have 3 bedrooms. And I started from one small room as my office. I spoke to one of the Asian partners that I was partnering with then, and he said, look, you cannot have a good client in your room. So he relinquished one of his offices. It's a small, tiny office in an office space. And he told me, you just take it. I'll pay for 2 months for you. Just take it because I don't want you to be a fish. I want you to be a shark. I didn't understand what he was saying at the time, but I grabbed the opportunity and I said, okay, let's take a bold step. I was scared. Oh, I don't want to be paying money for an office. I'm not as fully established yet. But that bold step turns things around. When I'm inviting clients, when they come to the office, you now have an office. It's different mentality. When you go to work and you sit down in your office, your thinking is different from when you are working from home looking for how to eat after 2 seconds. But when you are in that office confinement, your mentality, your brain opens up for other kind of innovations that will change your life in regards to whatever you're doing as a business personnel. So that changed everything. Now, less than 1 year in that office, I became very uncomfortable. It became too small. And I said, okay. And I'm paying about 200 and something pounds for that place. And I'm thinking, no, I can't afford a bigger one. I went to another place, and now that place is charging me 1,000 a month. And I said, oh, no, I can't take this one. And he said, go for it. I said, are you sure? I said, go for it. I said, okay. I went for it, and immediately I stepped my foot in that bigger space. That was it. I started thinking about okay, I've got 3, 4, 5 offices in this building. What do I do with them? I started thinking about other things to do in them. And that's how the business started growing. In that space of the few months, I took that bold step. If I remain in that small cubicle, that tiny office, my limitations will be within that facility. I will not think out of the box. Now, the bigger, something happened years ago when I was growing up. We were living in a 2-room apartment, a room the bedroom and a living room. Just it. That's it. Me and my parents and my 2 younger ones. Now, and my dad took a bold step. We can't afford even to pay for the 2 rooms, but he moved us into 4-bedroom flat. But immediately we got into that place, the money for the 4-bedroom flat started coming in from nowhere. So opportunities to make money for the 4-bedroom flat started coming in, and that's what came into me. Like, okay, when you give God more space, then there is more vacuum for God to bless in that environment. If you look at the widow of Zarephath, when Elijah said, go and borrow a vessel, borrow not a few. And imagine if the woman borrowed 1 million vessels, that would have been a 1 million pounds blessing for the woman. But immediately the vessel finished, the blessing stopped because there is no more room to contain the blessing. So that bold step in stepping out of that confinement gives an opportunity for God to enlarge your territory. And that's what is limiting most people, the fear of leaving the comfort zone and taking that bold step. Another thing is finances. Oh, how do I finance this? I don't have the money. I can't even feed myself. I told you we were 5. The first thing that I think there were about 1 Ghanaian, 1 Zimbabwean, 1 European, and 1 Cameroon. So that was all of them deserted me. What they were thinking is, look, bro, I can't even pay my bills and you're asking me to invest in this company. Well, I can't do it. You do it. When you succeed, let us know. And that's how they all left. And now, fortunately for them, when I grew to where I am, I brought one of them in, although the relationship didn't end well, which I gave him my blessing to go on and do his thing. I can say that on the air now. And but I was happy that I became a blessing and changed his life. He opened his own company. He was doing massively. He grew into 200 to 500 pounds, 500,000 pounds turnover, and I was happy I was part of his blessing. Even if the relationship didn't end well, but I'm still a blessing. No matter where he goes, I was the source of his blessing. God used me, placed me there to become a blessing to him. Now, that's one of them. So him in particular, he was earning, I think, about 600 pounds every month. And when he came in, I was teaching him everything, and I was paying him 4,000 a month. So, and I gave him opportunity to grow and learn. Within space of 6 months, he broke out, and he actually started and made over 500,000 within the space of a year. So that is only somebody who did not even go to school. He is not educated. Imagine if you have a little tiny education inside of you. You are a goat. So you don't need. So there's no limitation in terms of this. So these people ask, okay, finances might be a challenge to me. The PH staff in the first company started with only 3,000 pounds, and that 3,000 pounds grew into millions and millions of pounds, and is the mother company to the rest of them, because in financial management you need to channel the money away. If you don't channel it away, it's going to cause you a problem. So that's something that I discuss on a different note. So when you start growing and you know that this money is really is getting out of control, you need to understand financial management in terms of using what you have to express it, because Literally, the way the country and the whole system is programmed, if there is too much money in one particular company, you are not going to make any ends meet there. So for me to grow to where I am, I have to appoint. I think I distributed a lot of shares. I only kept 40% of the share in the company and distributed the rest of the shares to loads of people. It's true. Some of them I gave them for free. Some of them I sold it to them. So at the end of the year, when the shareholders meet, they distribute the whole finances, and it makes the company more tangible in terms of breaking out finance. That's where other people can grow. And the reason why I said finance shouldn't be a limitation, because with £30,000, there was a lot that came out from it. To the extent when the company started growing massively, we nearly ran out of funds because we pay on a weekly basis, but the client pays us every 40 days. So when we started getting that limitation, I had the opportunity to work with finance companies. If you don't have the risk, if you don't have the financial capability, you subcontract your finances to this financial company. They fund your company. You have peace of mind to run your business, and they will be the one to chase your clients. You don't need to worry about anything money. So that gives you a peace of mind to run your business perfectly, especially here in England. So finance shouldn't be a limitation. This is the places I told you I failed in some areas so that other people wouldn't need to fail in that area. So if I didn't want to borrow any money, those guys would have helped out, but I just decided to hold still until the next breakthrough came. So when the breakthrough came financially, it expanded to everywhere, and we grow where we are the most. So if you are having fear of stepping out, it's going to be a problem, because you won't be able literally to take the bold step in getting out of your comfort zone. So that's only limitation. But if you have even this tiny smallest idea of doing something, you can share, and I will teach you how to break out of it. It doesn't have to be a healthcare company, but when it comes to running a business, owning a company, I can vividly tell you literally every bit of the things that you need to go through, starting from the beginning to the end details, and you will grow massively. No limitations to us at all. No limitations.
I mean, obviously, it's clear that for you, you have had to invest in understanding how the system works in England.
Absolutely.
And that is commendable, because like if you don't know what you're dealing with, you don't even know how to address the challenges and the issues that emerge from that. But you have done your homework. Now, is this something that came up as you were moving along, or
Yes.
was there somebody? Okay, that is good to know. So you learned the hard way.
Absolutely. That's where the point comes in. I learned really, really hard way. So just to make it a little bit easier for people who are coming in, that's why it's like I'm saying, like, it's like I have just bridged the gap between those failures. Unless you didn't come and I mean, if you're starting a business, and I have another meeting with somebody who is struggling in shape. I don't know how the person got my contact. Okay, one of the men that I spoke to, the lady complained that, look, I'm struggling. I started the business. I don't know what to do. So they gave the contact details. I already booked her for a meeting on Monday. So just to hear where she is, and I will tell her where she needs to go from there. These are the places that I have been through, the hurdles of everything that has to do with business, especially in England and back in Africa as well. I'm investing not just one African country. I'm investing in anything called investment, and it's worth doing. I'm 100% in.
This is commendable. This is commendable, Dr. Ken, because the fact that you have learned the hard way, and you're saying to our brothers and sisters, there's no need for you to suffer the way I have suffered. I have paved the way for you.
Mhm.
Now, that is a mark of a good leader. most of our leaders are, I have suffered. You don't know the pain that I've gone through, and I will not explain it to you. So I will keep my knowledge, I will keep my experience to myself, and
Yeah,
leave everybody guessing and trying to figure out how to move forward.
I
And I
noticed that.
think, yeah, and I think when you look at some of our the brothers and sisters who are in key positions in life, be it in business or in politics,
Mhm.
these are some of the real challenges that we face.
That's true.
People are not willing to share their lived experiences with others so that they learn from your mistakes. You
Mm.
know, I want to become a hero by not sharing anything with you. You don't even know how well I am doing financially. I mean, I'm hearing you mentioning all these figures, all these companies grew and how they, most of our brothers and sisters don't share these kinds of details because that's regarded personal. Because if I tell you you're going to do the same thing and you end up beating me, and you're saying, listen, like you said earlier, I'm teaching you so that you can do better than me.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, Dr. Ken, these are the kinds of things, my brother, that annoy me in a good way, because leadership is about transparency. It's
Absolutely.
about impacting lives.
That's true.
And if I am not telling you about my areas of growth and my blessings, and because for you to be able to bless others, you're saying, God has blessed me and see what he has done. And you're not just pulling things from under the table and nobody knows what's under there. You're saying, listen, you have seen me work, and this is where I am now.
Yeah.
And I know you talked about this mindset and shifting gears, but it really bothers me. How come some of us as leaders, some of us in positions of authority, in positions of influence, in positions of governance, we're not opening up to let our brothers see where we've been, what our challenges have been. Now, what comes to mind in terms of how come some of our brothers and sisters still hang on to things without opening up? Like we hang on to positions with a clenched fists, with clenched fists. I don't want anybody else to get close to me. I don't want anybody else to know what's happening. So I maintain this lip, tight lip, and I build boundaries and
Mm.
walls around me so that nobody penetrates.
You know, um, I mentioned the fact that I spoke to a Zimbabwean couple when when I wanted to start. But before I spoke to them, there was a Nigerian guy that has been doing extremely well in the field, and I said, um, I have the vision to start this kind of company, and please, is there anything that you need to share with me? And he said, before I can talk to you, I need £30,000. Not sharing before he can talk to me, I need to pay him £30,000. And I was thinking, if I have 30 grand, do you think I will be calling you? Definitely won't call you. I will just pay people to do the job, and I will just look and things will start working. It's like he started screaming on the phone. Do you think it's free? Knowledge is not. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And regardless of it, I just started with no knowledge, with no guidance, with nothing.
Mm.
And currently, I followed him up all the way, and now all his companies all folded. And I could help him if he's humble enough to come to me. I met him in one of the meetings that we had, and I called him. He's my namesake, so I called him because I am on the receiving end. I marked his face. but he's on the giving end. He didn't know about me. So I said, "Oh, do you remember the young man that called you and he said 30,000?" He said, "No, I never said anything about 30,000." I was like, "Well, you mentioned it, and that's why it's stuck in my head. I use him as an example everywhere I go."
That could be part of what they call selective memory. You know, sometimes we just decide what I want to remember because I don't want to remember the other part.
Absolutely. So the reason why I brought this young man in is because that's the mentality of an average African. You know why we are not succeeding in Europe much is because of community spirit. And that community spirit is what's lacking with Africans. And I've most of my business associates, literally not to be disrespectful, are Asians and Jewish people. Most of them showed me the way. I told you an Asian guy gave up his office for me. So it's what our brothers could. They could not even talk to me about the business, just talk of giving up an office for me. So, and because of that challenge I had with that 30,000, and I told him before I hang up the call, I said, "You see this field, I will come into it, do well, and you're scared that we're coming to take all your business away. But I will make sure that anybody I meet becomes a CEO and owns a company in that same field, that you will be running away from it." So just say the word. I just want to be a business owner in healthcare. That's it. I will set you up for you. That's why I told you, if I don't just set up a company for you and leave you behind, I give you the contract to work with, and I open the panel for you. It's for everybody. It's not limited.
Yeah.
If you have the business ethics, if you have the mind, if you have literally my first client, my first booking as a recruitment agent was around 1 a.m. Why others slept? And there was this, I just saw it on the system. I clicked on it and they said, "Are you sure you can get a staff by 1 a.m.?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You sure?" "Yes, I can." "How soon can they get there?" 5 minutes. "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Bring them in." I was not part of the system, and that's how those people love me so crazily. After I called one of the staff. I said, "Are you ready to go?" So, but there's no, as I'm coming to pick you up. I took my car, dressed up, and I went to his house. I said, "Are you hungry?" He said, "I am." I said, "Okay, let's go to McDonald's." Gave him food, and I took him to work. Drop him at the door and call the client. He is here. Wow. So that integrity, that timing, and that everything broke into that client, and the client sent a memo to the rest of the business location all over and said, this agency is very reliable, and that's how the whole thing changed. Just 1 a.m. Covering a particular location, and the whole system changed. And there was this lady that I helped out not quite long in establishing her. So I showed her the system and everything, and I told her, just keep pushing, and the door will open. So I said, I've been trying. This is the places I've been trying. This is the places I've gotten. She kept pushing on the same road. I said, try other places. So she tried the places I tried and I failed. She tried and she succeeded. And I'm thinking, that's good. And now she grew her own company. In that place, I failed. They rejected me. But the person I trained into the business, they accepted her.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And she started growing and growing and growing. And I was really impressed. I was thinking, this is massive. To the extent she ran into the same trouble of not being able to pay because she's having so much bookings and limited money. So I advised about the finance company because she needed that. And when she got into that finance company, they just take a penny of you and the rest of them comes to you. Financial security. And less than 1 year of her starting a company, somebody that is struggling over the years started building in Zimbabwe. I was like, bro, there's a sister, you need to calm down. Build your equity strong first before you start building houses. And she's like, oh, this money is, she got excited. So I said, you need to just pipe low, build this. For 1 year, I didn't pay myself a penny. I was shuffling the money back into the business to grow enough capital and threshold and put it a safe zone on it. So if I go up to 100,000, I put 50,000 as a safe zone. So anything below 50,000, I am broke. That's how I think.
That's quite a mindset. That's, I mean, people don't generally think along those lines, but obviously over the years you've started thinking differently, and rightly so. We have someone, Ayodele, who is in London, UK. He says, "Congratulations, Doc. We're proud of your business acumen." So this is encouraging. I mean, for you to have started the way you did, and this is where you are now, when you're saying, listen, the sky is not the limit. The sky is the starting point.
Absolutely.
We need to think beyond the sky. And this is really, really wonderful. To our viewers and our listeners, this is Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio with your host, Dr. FM. And we're delighted today that we have Dr. Ken Agoh, who is a medical doctor, but realized that in the UK, even though he was practicing and have all his medical credentials from Africa, he realized that they were putting him through some hoops, and realized that God was going to open other avenues, which he wasn't seeing, but he was seeing them, I could say, because he is a visionary. He had a vision, was looking beyond, and obviously we're having this conversation today because you have expanded your work, you've expanded beyond what anybody would have imagined. I'm looking at the time, Dr. Ken, and I'm like, oh my goodness, time has flown. Listen, we have to bring you back because we would like to have further conversations in some of these things, and perhaps we could even just say, if people would like to connect with you, what would be the best way to connect with you? Because the things you're talking about, Dr. Ken Agoh, are the kinds of things that we really need to hear. Many of us in the diaspora in particular, we have been working for many, many years. And we need a new way of looking at things. And we need to understand, how do we build equity? How do we establish wealth? How do we build wealth? How do we create wealth? And how do we create opportunities to do that? And this is something that many of us, we just need to bite the bullet and say, listen, I don't know, but I am willing to know. Like someone said, it's okay not to know, but you can't continue not to know if you can know. So you are saying you have some technical know-how, you have a lived experience, you have established a financial base, and you are willing to share that with others. And like I said before, this is commendable, my brother. This is commendable, my brother, because not many people like to share these kinds of secrets with others. I would rather keep it to myself so that everybody else is struggling and they don't know how I'm able to survive. But you're saying yes. I mean, I do understand there's a level of transparency that you're sharing with us, and then you're saying, listen, if you need help beyond this, there are seminars and trainings that you conduct as a registered, trained, credited trainer that you would be able to share with people beyond this. So just someone says, someone Moyo in Bulawayo in Zimbabwe says, we don't have any confidence in ourselves as Africans. What do you think about that statement?
Right. I think that's the very, very true statement. The confidence is there. It's not there, especially probably because of our environment. And now, to say that, I want to highlight on a statement a very, very rare statement. Everybody in this world is a debtor. It depends on what kind of debtor you are. Now, the rich are debtors, the poor are debtors. I'd rather be a rich man and a debtor than to be a poor man and a debtor. And that's the kind of mentality Africans need to grow. So if you grow a rich debtor, that means you are able to break out of the system. Like I said, I can't say most of the things on the air. It's only when I see persons, when I can speak to some people in person, then I'll be able to break down some of these, riddles. Um, the sky is too wide for two birds to collide. So what I'm trying to bring in there is that there is so much opportunities for us to grow, for somebody to keep the information to yourself because you don't want other people to know and you don't want them to grow and become. Look, in Europe, they have bridged the gap between the rich and the poor that you don't even notice it. Because whatever you can afford in fact, the average poor man in Europe is very rich in Africa. So why so is because you don't notice, because an average poor person here can afford anything they want if they work. But it's different in our community. So the confidence that we lack is the fact that we are thinking the risk that we need to take, we don't want to take it, and we don't want to take that bold step. And the confidence needs to be overcome if we actually have that community spirit. Everybody's jealous, nobody wants to share anything. And like now, I can give you knowledge, and you will refuse to give it to the next person. That's where the problem is. So the chain of command stops with you because you are not being too stingy to change another person's life when you get a breakthrough. I had a bit of misunderstanding with somebody. It was telling me I should not share things with people anymore. And I got really, really, really cross with this person. I'm thinking, so if somebody told me not to share, you won't even get the knowledge. Why are you advising me not to share with another person? So it gave me like, why are people like this? Why are our people like this? Why are you? We're still, I don't know how to explain it, but we need that to break out of that, that cycle of, not the community spirit within Africa needs to change. See, when you see a Zimbabwean, you say, oh, he's a Zimbabwean, I cannot share with the Zimbabwean. You see a Ghanaian, no, I'm not Ghanaian. So that thing needs to break. Africans are Africans. Asians, when they come to the mosque, they become one, no matter where you are from, whether Japan, India, wherever you're from. But when they go inside that mosque, everybody is one. I happened to have a bidding. I wanted to purchase a church for my local assembly here. It's Apostolic Faith Mission AFN here in the UK. So now I wanted to purchase a church for them, and I went for the bidding. I was standing alone as an African man, but these Asians were standing like a community. I couldn't outbid them. They kept raising the price, and for bidding, when it comes to auction, you have to pay cash. And when they won the bidding from a church property that was supposed to be £160,000, they moved it up to 360,000 just to outbid me out of it. And now, when they got the property, they now said, okay, we need the payment now. They didn't have it. They went to the mosque, announced it, and people started contributing money. They don't know where the property is, but they were contributing. In front of me, the cash came out straight away, and they paid for it. I'm looking. Even in our own local assembly, you can't even do that. Nobody's good. They will be telling you about their bills. And you think Asians don't pay bills? They do pay bills. We're all living in the same Europe. But they have a community spirit, and that needs to be broken within African community. If that's not broken, I don't think we're heading anywhere.
Oh, my brother. We could continue this conversation forever. all day.
I know.
This focus you just mentioned on the value of the community is something that we all need to hear.
Absolutely.
You know, our brother Theo, who is our chief engineer here, will attest to this. In Canada, most of our brothers and sisters coming from the east, not the far east, but just India and Pakistan and all that,
Mm-hmm.
they work together in ways that just make many of us look like we really don't know how to connect and how to live in this global village with our own
Yeah.
kinsmen or next of skin, you know. Um, they come, they occupy a house, and you have several people living there. They're saving money. Another house becomes available, they buy it and move part of the group into the next house. Another house becomes available. That's how they have grown in so many communities, because they work together as a team. Now, this was my earlier question I wanted to ask you. Is it because we have been hurt and burned so many times that we don't trust anybody? I know it's wrong to say I don't trust anyone, because life is not like that. You have to go to the doctor, you trust them. You have to get on the bus or on the train, you're trusting someone who's running this system. So you can't say I don't trust anybody. Obviously, you have to trust some people. But what is it? What is it that makes us not to work together? Maybe we could make this our final point as we wind up. What is it that makes us not to work together?
Right. Like I mentioned from the start, trust issue is what we have in Africa. The trust issue, and it's a very very big thing. It's not just within the African community, even with the Zimbabweans as well, within ourselves. Like Zimbabwean community, we don't even trust ourselves. Not the talk of trusting a different a different country. So, and that's where the whole thing comes out to. And I was listening to Traore, this new what's it called, Guinea president, and I'm thinking that's
Burkina
exactly
Faso, yeah.
yeah. So that's exactly Burkina Faso, yeah. That's exactly what we are, and that's exactly the kind of heart. I was telling some of these guys, I said, make me the president, and you will see we have two of them now.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, if you look at it, trust issue has been a major thing with African community.
Yeah.
And that's why we have not left where we are. Years and years and years upon years, we are still where we are. Even within siblings, they don't even trust themselves. So let's start from the small, tiny community of a family. It has to start from there. If you don't trust within your siblings, brothers and sisters don't trust themselves, it can't even go outside there. So it becomes a norm to every African community. So if I have an opportunity to get something, when I get it, I close the door against everybody else. And that's what I've been saying with them. And sometimes I get discouraged. I'm thinking, I don't think one tree can make a forest. This I'm getting exhausted trying preaching this gospel and nobody's hearing me. And nobody's hearing. And I say, I sometimes I said, okay, let me keep pushing, and maybe one of these days somebody else was going to join the same mentality, and we keep changing it and keep changing it. Within family, I'm telling you, we don't trust ourselves. So the whole changes need to start from that nuclear family, then goes into extended family, then into our small local community, then extend it into the maybe local government, and that's how the changes is going to spread like a rapid way. But if we don't start with our own nuclear family, that trust needs to come in. it's going to be extremely difficult. And that's why even if you come into, I have a senator coming from Africa to see me in August. Why? Because he entrusted £250,000 to another brother of ours in London to establish a care business, and nothing came out of it. So, and unfortunately, they got to me when the deal has been done. I wish they actually came to me. Yeah. I told the young man, I said, you give me that kind of money, just go to bed. And within a space of a year, your millions that will be counting in the country, you'll be asking, how did I get here? So, and unfortunately, they want me to attend to the case, speak to them and, get them to pay back the money. That's not my job. I don't drag people. I wasn't involved from the beginning, but I'm having a meeting with him. He's coming in and he wants to have a meeting with the rest of them. And probably I want to teach them wherever the money is, whatever remnant is left, if there's any, we channel it into a good cause and build that small thing into something so that he doesn't regret investing in those people. So I still want to help, even if it's just that, maybe that's why God is opening doors for me that I don't even deserve. Because I have an open heart to do these things unconditionally. And I tell people, it pays to be good. If you forget about being a Christian or being a believer, if you're good things actually happen to good people. You understand? That's how I believe it. And if I have an opportunity to be a blessing, why will I stop myself from doing it? And what is the essence of becoming a multi-millionaire? And when my next neighbor is suffering, then the success is useless. So if I become a millionaire, I make you a millionaire, you make somebody else a millionaire, before you know what's happening in years down the line, we have built multi-millionaires as our community all over the nation. And where my problem comes is I make you a millionaire and that's it. You hoard it within yourself. You don't want to share the knowledge to the next person. It becomes tiring. So the major thing is for us to have an open heart. Whenever you receive this knowledge and you grow, it works for you. Share it with the next person. When I brought all my siblings here with their husband and everybody, I set up their own company. I said, I don't want to give you fish. I want to teach you how to get the fish. Then now, when you establish, please pick one or two people, change their life as well.
Right.
And bring the testimony to me. That's all I want to hear.
And that's a kind of chain, a ripple effect that we really need to put in place here. And Dr. Ken Agoh, it's been a real pleasure to have you on this program. And I'm just delighted that we've had this conversation. And obviously, we will bring you back so that we can unpack some of the things. I've been taking notes, some of the things that you've been talking about, because there's just so much that you have shared with us, and we need to take that to another level. But just as we wind down now, what one thing would you like to leave with our listeners today? You've said so many things and we might forget some of them, but you might say, listen, here's one thing I don't want you to forget. Here's one thing that I'd like to leave with you today. What would that be?
Right. I always tell people, anytime, any day, whatever you do, put God first. That's the most important thing. And allow God to navigate your life journey. Whether you're a business person, if the world is succeeding, we as Christians and believers can do even better, because God's blessing is with no sorrow. So take that risk, put God in it, and believe you me, you will excel in everything you do, in business and in otherwise.
My brother, I don't think there's any other better way you could have put it. You nailed it. Put God first. and allow God to navigate things for you. In other words, let's learn to collaborate with God. And obviously, from your examples, you're saying as we allow God to navigate things for us, bring other people along with you, be a blessing to others. And so thank you for being with us today. And you have shared some wonderful nuggets, helping us to understand that don't look at the sky as the limit. Look at it as the starting point.
That's true.
In other words, think outside the box. And not just that, but think without the box. Get outside. Be willing to take risks.
Mm-hmm.
And the little you have, you can actually invest and start somewhere.
True.
And you're saying work as a community. Build a community, not just me, myself, and I. Think about other people. Don't just be rich in your own little corner, but think about your neighbors who could be going hungry and yet you have skills. So, my brother, we can't thank you enough, but thank you for being with us today. And to our listeners, this has been your host, Dr. FM on Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Radio. We are so delighted that you have spent this morning with us. And again, we can't thank you enough for being with us. And I'd like to believe that you have learned some things as well. And to those of you who took time to make some comments and ask questions, we appreciate that. Please subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Subscribe to this channel and let other people know so that we can share these ideas together. So we dialogue to discover so that we decide on the next steps. And let's keep it going. Until next time, keep up the good work. We'll see you soon. God bless you.